What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here with AC Kevil. We are here for NFL Week 13 preview and predictions. And we're going to preview every single game this week, give you our game picks. Dilly Vanilli is not here, so he has the updated standings. I'm not quite sure who's in first and last and whatever in between.
Oh, I think you're pretty sure who's in first.
I do know that AC is in first. Go ahead, brag.
By at least, I think it's like 8 or 9. I think on second place. He
has his Eagles Christmas sweater on.
Yeah, it's
today.
Almost December. You got to start bringing it out, right?
There's a big game. I noticed you guys are both repping your gear, as am I. I'm going to the Patriots game this weekend against the Buffalo Bills, but there's a big game close to home, which is AC versus Kevil. That's the Seahawks versus the Eagles, so that's going to be maybe the game of the week there on Sunday Night Football.
Well, like maybe for us, because maybe 5 weeks ago was the game of the week. Now there are way more better games than that matchup.
There are, but like for the bottom line viewers and for the bottom line view, that might be the game of the week.
Yeah, I just wish Seattle was
probably still this week.
Kevil?
Yes. Can you hear me? It'll be
Are you lagging?
No. We'll be one of the top 5 games of the week, I think.
Top 5 games.
5 out of 15. It's not that tough.
Yeah. But
I'm just saying, like, I wish Seattle was better because there's not that much to this game. It's definitely more of a must-win for Seattle. The Eagles are the better team. They do a lot of things better than the Seahawks. It's going to be tough for the Seahawks to win. They could pull it off because pretty much their season's on the line in a little bit of a way. Plus, they're the first time since like 6 years that they've been underdogs by more than 3 points at home, which tells you a little bit what
6 years, really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. We don't lose by a lot at home when it's very rare.
You don't lose at all, but you've lost twice already. The last 2 home games you've lost.
Yeah, but
so that's
we also play tough. Yeah, but I also I don't think the Eagles are going to go 15-1. I'll say that.
I don't think the Eagles are going to go 15-1 too, but I know they'll beat the Seattle. I think they'll have a tougher time against the Rams than they will against the Hawks.
We'll get into that game. We'll save it.
I'm just saying your picks don't matter because you're trash at picking, and obviously you pick the Seahawks because without any. Well, I'm just saying, like, look at some of your picks. Like, why at the bottom? Because I'm
not at the bottom, actually. Mitch is at the bottom.
I have no idea if I'm at the bottom. We don't have the updated standings.
Up 20. I'm just saying, like, no one in their right mind should technically take the Seahawks in this game.
All right.
A Seahawks.
Yeah, hold it. That's your teaser for later on. We'll get some more argument on you guys later on. But our Week 13 picks. Of course, if you guys have any opinions, let it be known in the comment section, whether that's the live comments right now. I see a couple guys in there. What's going on? Let us know your thoughts on the games, who you're picking this week, and any questions you have for us, as well as, if you're watching this after the fact and you're not live, make sure you comment below your picks and your opinions. Okay, let's start off with the Thursday Night Football game. That's the Washington Redskins versus the Dallas Cowboys. This game, it would have been bigger, maybe the way that we thought that these teams would maybe end up. I thought that these two teams would maybe be fighting for a playoff spot in this position in this week, in week number 13. But it seems like Dallas has kind of fallen off, and it seems like Washington just isn't quite there for a number of different reasons. Although both teams have stayed competitive for a majority of the season, they just aren't looking like teams that are going to make any sort of run into the playoffs or even really make the playoffs. But this game is still interesting nonetheless because Dallas is trying to keep their season alive. Washington is trying to play spoiler, and this is a rivalry within the NFC East. Those are always great games. So in this game, I'm picking Washington. I'm picking Washington because I think that Kirk Cousins can do some of the same things that Phillip Rivers and the Chargers did to this Dallas defense. I don't think Dallas had one stop against the Chargers in that game last week on Thanksgiving. I think that there were a couple of missed field goals, and I don't remember one single punt in that game by the Chargers. So that's something that the Cowboys are going to have to fix if they're going to win this game. I think Kirk Cousins, even without Chris Thompson, who I think has kind of hurt this offense a little bit, we saw it against the Giants, I do think that, Vernon Davis being there for Jordan Reed, a guy that's picking up is Jamison Crowder's playing really well. I think these guys will figure out a way to beat this secondary, which is getting weaker and weaker as the weeks go on. And the pass rush has kind of become invisible over the past couple of weeks. And for, Dallas offense, they haven't been able to consistently score. And I don't really think that they can do that against Washington either. Again, Norman's going to take away Dez, and who else do you really have to throw the ball to? There's no one that really scares you from these receiver weapons. I know Dylan is going to say that Dak is all motivated and he's ready to go, and he's been talking to the team and talking to the media that he's back. I don't know about that one. I'm going to go with the Redskins because I think they're the better team playing the better football.
Yeah, just a quick thing on Dak there. He was pretty motivated with that Eagles. If you watch that Eagles game, the Cowboys were pumped up to play that game, and the wheels fell off. I don't know how many times you could say you're pumped up for a game and keep losing. But yeah, I think this has Redskins written all over it for a win. I think if you do look at how Washington's played, unlucky at times, I actually don't mind them. And then you've seen Crowder had his best game last week with no Pryor, who I actually from day one said Pryor was not a good signing. I thought they should have tried to keep at least Pierre Garçon with the team.
I don't think they could have afforded Pierre Garçon.
I think I'd have to look at the numbers, but I just still think they should have kept one of those guys. If you lose two of those guys, you should have been able to afford to keep one. I think the problem with Dallas is they still don't have much of a running game. Dax looked off passing the ball. Des Bryant isn't good. Williams isn't good. Wittens is 100 years old. Washington, they might give up some points, but I do think they're going to win this by double digits. And the spread's only 1 for Washington on the road. So I think
they keep giving Dallas the respect. But then again, this is that one game that they've played in the last couple of weeks that I know I'm high on the Chargers, obviously, and obviously high on the Eagles. This is that one game of the last 3 where I'm like, hey, I could see Dallas maybe getting a win here. But the way that they're playing tells me nothing about how they're going to win. But I think that Vegas keeps giving them the point. They keep giving them points. I don't know why Vegas is so high on the Cowboys still. Jason Garrett, all he does is clap. Dak Prescott proven that he can't really do much without the run game. Their offensive line isn't the same as last year, clearly. Yeah. Their defense is not very good. I don't really know what Vegas sees in this Cowboys team other than that its name is the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's I think people just still think 13-3 and they've given Dak the benefit of the doubt for the last 3 games. But, we talk a lot when someone has one bad game, we can leave it at that and say, let's move on, see what happens. But when you start to have 3 bad games in a row, it starts to become a trend, and there's something more than just having a bad game. There's something else going on. It's people are finding ways to stop you. And, the offense hasn't been the problem. They haven't been scoring at all, but that defense still can't really stop that much. That Chargers game, Chargers could have won by way more if you even look at that first half, right? They went for it on 4th down that one time when their kicker was injured.
They had to go for it on 4th down a number of times. That's the most concerning part. They've played 2 teams in a row without a kicker that have been forced to go for it when they wouldn't have gone for it. That in one game kind of sacrificed some points, and then in the other game they couldn't stop the other team from making the 4th down. So I don't know. It's
I'm gonna say 30-21. For the Redskins.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with everything that you're saying, and I'm still going to pick Dallas because they've been 7 of the last 10. They beat them in Washington without even scoring a touchdown or passing touchdown. They got 1 touchdown. Washington doesn't play well against Dallas. If you look over the history, and they just don't seem to play well in Dallas against Dallas. So that's why I'm picking the Cowboys because of the trend here. And Washington isn't a healthy team either, so I'm picking Dallas here.
All right. The next game is, gotta pull it up, Minnesota versus Atlanta. This is one of the games of the week, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if we picked either team, to be honest. Atlanta is playing pretty good football right now. And they've been playing more like they were last year, I guess. Their offense has gained a little bit of a rhythm, especially against Tampa Bay. We saw it against Seattle. They won a big game there in Seattle against Russell Wilson. And then Minnesota is been arguably, the best team in the league these past couple of weeks. They've been unreal, and Case Keenum's playing awesome. They've played some good opponents, and they've came out the winner. So Minnesota, riding high. Atlanta, riding high. This is a tough one to pick, but I'm just going with the team that I think is better. I'm going with the Vikings here. I think that they're just a better all-around team. I haven't quite bought into the Atlanta Falcons just yet. They have played some teams that I'm a little bit skeptical of. The Seattle Seahawks, I'm skeptical of. I think that's a bigger win because of the name than it is because of the opponent. And I think Tampa Bay just straight up sucks. I don't think that the Minnesota Vikings, with one of the top 3 corners in the NFL, are going to let Julio Jones get 200 receiving yards.
But they did. The one thing about that, though, I'll just mention, they did give up a ton of yards to Marvin Jones. A ton.
Yeah, the weird thing is that Marvin Jones was playing against Trey Waynes, which I've always said about the Vikings is Trey Waynes is the weakness of that defense. Like, I think they need to figure out something else. They need to draft someone else. They need to sign someone else next season, because every single game I watch the Vikings, Rhodes has his guy covered, Newman has his guy covered in the slot, and guys just straight up, good quarterbacks just straight up attack Trey Waynes because he takes too many penalties. He's off balance. And I think, maybe Mohamed Sanu might have a decent game in this one if that's the case. But I just don't see with really a lot of people talk about the Matt Ryan Julio thing being the secret to the Atlanta offense. In my opinion, it's always been the run game first, and the run game allows for that Atlanta offense to work its magic. And I think the Vikings have been, I think they're second or third against the run. They're really good against the run. This game is in Atlanta, which scares me a little bit. But I just like the way Case Keenum is playing. I think he deserves the respect. I think he's making plays. He's not just winning the game on the back of his defense or his run game. He's actually making plays down the field. Adam Thielen is pretty much unstoppable right now, and they have a complementary run game to go with it. So I don't see anything in Minnesota's game that really has me scared going into Atlanta, even though that is a tough place to play. Who do you guys have this week?
Yeah, I had the Vikings too, but I'm going to wait till Sunday. I know we're allowed to change picks, and we don't do it very often, pretty much never. But this is a toss-up. I still want to figure things out because obviously Minnesota is the better team. But the way Atlanta is playing is trending. You know what I mean? We've seen New Orleans now drop one. Obviously we saw the Rams drop one. Like some of these teams, and obviously we might see the Eagles, not this week, but down the road. But the Vikings on paper, everything you look at it, like what you just said, with Keenum playing well, being very accurate, they're getting third downs. They're even been able to run the ball really well, especially since without having, one of the best rookies or young talented running backs in Cook been out for probably for most of the season. They've impressed me. I just think if there's maybe one game they could lose. Let me put it this way: I'd be more surprised if the Eagles lost to the Seahawks than the Falcons or the Vikings losing to the Falcons. You know what I mean? Well, I'd be like, oh, that's that could happen. You know what I mean? But the other way, I wouldn't think that.
Another shot at the Seahawks. Go ahead, Kev.
Well, I think the Vikings are probably the big threat.
Is Kev lagging for you?
Viking beating the Eagles, I would say. What's that?
I don't know why, Kev, but you're lagging today.
Okay.
Maybe just go on audio.
Okay, I'm going to do that. There we go. Okay. I think the Vikings are the
That's not helping.
I think that Case Keenum.
That's not helping. Put your bandwidth all the way down.
Okay, hang on here. Sorry, guys. Is that better?
This is what happens when you have a Seahawks fan on your YouTube channel. This is what we get here.
Stupid jerks.
Okay, go ahead, Kev.
Again, I think the Vikings are probably the biggest threat to the Eagles. I think they play all-around good football.
Oh, wait, sorry, Kev. Weren't the Saints just a week ago the biggest threat to the Eagles, according to you?
The Saints can still be a threat, but I think the Vikings are.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying, because you weren't really talking about the Vikings 3 weeks ago. You're talking about how great the Saints were, that the Saints were the team to beat the Eagles. So now you're just switching. Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
I think the Vikings are one of your biggest threats to your NFC championship.
100%. I agree. And I've been saying that all year, and now everyone's jumping on. But you said the Saints were, dude. So I'm just saying that I was right with the Vikings thing, and now everyone's kind of backpacking on what I was saying.
You can't see me, but I'm bowing to worship you.
Hey, I was with the Vikings. I put the Saints in there, but I was with the Vikings. Kev?
Anyway, I also think that Case Keenum will be one of those quarterbacks that we might be talking about in the offseason that a lot of teams I think creates a very interesting dynamic in there. It wouldn't surprise me if the Falcons win this, but I look at the fact that you're without Freeman and probably Desmond Trufant, to me, doesn't give them I don't think that they match up very well receiver-wise. And I'm able to run the ball very well, which I think will limit what the Falcons will do offensively. So I think the Vikings will probably win by a touchdown.
Did you say the Falcons or the Vikings?
Vikings.
Okay. All right. Next pick. We're all on the Vikings. That's kind of surprising. Next, we have Detroit versus Baltimore. This is a tough game. Again, two teams that are fighting for wild card position in their respective conferences. Detroit is basically playing on the back of Matt Stafford. They were in, I guess, a semi-tight one against the Vikings, but again, they had to kind of come back in that game and make it a little closer than it really was. I think the Vikings are just, like we said, the all-around better team in that division, and it really showed in that game. But for Baltimore, they're a team built all on defense. Joe Flacco hasn't been able to get anything going all season long on offense. They're a one-dimensional offense that can run the ball at times, but it's not really one of the best run games in the NFL. And they have no receivers really to speak of. Their offensive line is weak, and Joe Flacco is playing some of the worst football he's ever played. But their defense is good. They can stop the run. They can stop the pass. Jimmy Smith, I give a shout out to him, is playing one of the best corners in the NFL right now. And going in this game, it's going to be interesting to see how that Baltimore defense is going to slow down Matt Stafford and this offense. But at the end of the day, I have Detroit just basically based off one thing and one thing alone. They have Matt Stafford and Baltimore doesn't. I know that they're on the road, but I really just look at this game and I think, yeah, Baltimore's defense is pretty good, but I've seen Matt Stafford break through against good defenses this year and at least put up some points. And I think with Baltimore, their offense isn't good enough to really, even against Detroit's defense, that I don't think is that good. I just don't think that they can really control the game or keep pace with Stafford in this one. I think it might be one of those games where it's like 20-14 for the Lions, and Stafford just makes a couple more plays on offense and, does his thing with Golden Tate and Marvin Jones, and the Ravens just, their offense is just pathetic. So I just don't think they'll be able to do anything. There are a couple injuries for the Lions. I know that Tavon Wilson went down for the year, so that's going to be interesting. He was one of their starting safeties to see how they adapt to that. But, yeah, I have the Lions here. I think they're the better team just by a bit, just because of their quarterback. And then I think that they're the team that if they can still squeak in the playoffs, I don't know if Baltimore's going to make it or not. Obviously, they have a chance. It's just weird to really be speaking on a Baltimore team that it just isn't good, in my opinion. And we're talking about them potentially making the playoffs. It's just crazy to me. That's the way the AFC's been this year, but I have the Lions.
Yeah, I have the Lions too. I didn't really like what I saw against Houston. They easily could have lost that game. Their defense, made some big plays, but a lot of those big plays were Tom Savage throwing them right to them. There was obviously a fumble. And then offensively, they really didn't move the ball. And I look at this too, and I still, if Detroit makes the wild card, I think they have a better chance to upset someone. If the Ravens made the playoffs, they would lose first game no matter what. I wouldn't even give them a chance. Obviously, really? Detroit, they would be underdogs. I just don't think this offense is built to do much. Because even in that game, on Monday night, Savage threw the ball right to it. Yeah, great plays, but it's not. It's right place, right time, which is good. but it's not like I didn't see a lot of, a guy's wide open and a defender makes an unbelievable cut inside or something to knock the ball away or pick it off that way. Like, they were really bad throws to those guys that put them in position to get points. And that offense can't move the ball. Yeah, they had some nice running plays. Flacco is probably, like, I don't know statistically every single year, but like, he hasn't been doing anything this year. He's been just doing enough to get them the win. And I think most of his yards came probably in the first 3-4 games of the season when he was doing well. So yeah, I just think Detroit should be able to win this. I think it's gonna be a close game, but I think Detroit wins this and gets back into the playoff spot and hopefully, forces Seattle out.
I'm picking Detroit here as well. They're 4-1 on the road, by the way. I don't know if people are aware of that, but they've had a really good road record. My concern with Detroit is I look back at that Pittsburgh game when they left a lot of points on the field. I hope that doesn't happen. I'll give them that, but that offense is just not tough. But I think Stafford will do enough to win this game. And because Baltimore's offense is struggling, to say the least. So I will pick Detroit here.
Yeah, the Lions, it's weird that you bring that stat up that they're actually good on the road, which is weird because usually you talk about like good road teams having rather like a good run game, good offensive line, good defense. And I don't think the Lions really have any of those. Maybe their offensive line's okay, but they don't have a great defense. They don't have a great run game, but somehow they find a way to win on the road. So Baltimore. The next one is New England versus Buffalo. Again, I'm going to this game, so it's going to be fun. This should be an interesting game. I think this is the toughest of the tests that New England's had over the past few weeks. So, and this is a divisional game. Buffalo's always a weird place to play. So this will be kind of like an interesting game just to see where the Patriots are at. I'm pretty sure they're at that mode where they are steamrolling competition on their way to the AFC Championship, but that's where I think they're at. We'll really see where they're at this week. And Buffalo is not a great opponent, but they did have a nice bounce back win against the Chiefs. And we've been talking about the Chiefs and how the Chiefs are doing, but that's a totally different story. Tyrod Taylor's back. As we said last week on the preview, we thought he'd give this team some confidence. He definitely did. He also gave this team a better quarterback in general. And the defense looked a little bit better against Kansas City. I look at this game and I just think, I think that was a facade, their defense last week. I just think that was mostly Kansas City's offense playing like crap. I think looking back at the stats over the past 3 or 4 games, they've given up like 600 yards rushing and like a lot of passing yards. Like they rank bottom. It's weird because if you look at this stat that I sent to the Twitter group a day or two ago, the Patriots rank second since week 6 in points allowed in the NFL. And the Bills, up till week 6, ranked second in the league, and they've completely swapped. Now the Bills are 31st, and the Patriots are second. So it's kind of weird, the two teams that have gone different directions on defense. And this is going to be interesting because the Bills obviously still have a chance to make the playoffs. So they are fighting for their season here. If they can win this game, then we're talking about Bills potentially making the wild card. So there is still a lot to play for McDermott's team. But I look at this one, and I think the way that the Patriots are playing, the way that Brady is playing, the way that Lewis is playing on offense, I think that this team will be able to move the ball very well once again. And the defense is playing solid and not really giving up much. I think the big test this week is going to be going against a good run game like Buffalo. How did they do? So I'm going to say that the score will be something like 33-17 or 33 to like that for the Patriots. What do you guys think?
It's easily that the Patriots should win. As we said too, or I was saying, I think last week, the AFC East went from maybe one of the best divisions in the first 4 weeks now to the worst when you combined the Bills, Jets. I know that was a good win against KC, but I just don't think they got too much going wrong there. Yes, they have a good run game, but what we've seen from them is if they get behind, they can't come back whatsoever. Teams score early, they can't come back. I don't know. Tyrod might give them something, but it's not going to be enough with that Patriots offense. Yes, that Buffalo defense is good, but they haven't been as good as they were, obviously, like you mentioned at the beginning of the season. yeah, the Bills easily are going to lose here, in my opinion. It could be close. Will be interesting to see. Obviously, maybe not for you, but like same with my Eagles. I'm kind of getting to the point where I feel for the Patriots, where it's easy watching the games. You know what I mean?
That's how it usually is for me.
No, I know, like exactly right. Like you turn on a game and it's pretty much over on the first drive of the third quarter, if not earlier, and then you're just watching nothing, right? You're just watching them a beat down. It's pretty relaxing, that's for sure. And I think you're going to be having one of those games again this week.
It's not necessarily that it's not necessarily that they win the games. It's like how they play. And I always want to see how the team improves every week. So like last week, they had like 8 sacks. So I want to see if they can replicate the same blitz packages and things that they were doing last week against the Bills this week. So, and the Bills have a better offensive line. So I want to see if they can do those things this week and improve upon the different coverages. Because the big thing about the defense early in the year is they were super simple because everybody was stupid as shit because they couldn't cover anything. So now they've improved. They've added some blitzes, some different coverages. So how much more complex can they get on defense? That's going to be the thing I'm watching the most if you're a Patriots fan.
Well, let's look at before this Kansas City game, let's look at the last 3 games since the Marcel Darius trade, by the way. The Jets got 34, the Saints got 47, the Chargers got 54. So they're one yeah, I don't see this really being much of a matchup. Quite frankly, I probably will see a 2-touchdown victory for the Patriots, just continuing to roll on. And they are on their way to Pittsburgh. Just getting ready for that game.
Okay, let's just say this right now. What did we think of Mike Tomlin's comment that he's ready for the Patriots?
I'm not I like the Steelers probably more than the Patriots, so I would say that I don't know. It's just being confident, trying something new. Has he ever said that before?
No, I don't think so.
So maybe I think he's.
But how do you think that? Like, because the way that. Okay, so Mike Tomlin said, "We believe that we can win the Super Bowl. Whatever, that's fine." Okay, but he's like, "We're ready for the Patriots," something like that. Talking to Dungy, and then Big Ben is asked that question, and he's like, "No, we're focusing on the Bengals." So, like, his team isn't backing him up on his comments.
I don't know. I wouldn't read too much into it.
It was weird because you have a game at Cincinnati. You disrespect kind of did was
disrespect the Bengals
opponent that is confident that they're going to easily beat Cincinnati and prepare for New England. And to me, I think that's Pittsburgh's regular season right there.
And it's not even next week. It's in week 15.
Yeah, it's not even next week.
It's a little later, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're not even like close to that game yet, but we all have New England. Next one, we have San Fran versus Chicago. Jimmy Garoppolo is starting for the San Francisco 49ers. This is a tough one for me to pick, obviously. I have Jimmy G on the 49ers. I have my boy Trubisky on the Bears. I've been a fan of the Bears. Even though they kind of stink, but they're kind of one of those bad teams that you want to cheer for. And same for the 49ers because Kyle Shanahan and all that stuff. So I like both teams in a way, and I hope that they get better, and I hope they're good teams in the future, which I think they will be if all things go right. I think they have their centerpieces, and I think they have some things to work with. But in this game, Chicago is clearly the better team. I want to pick San Francisco. I wanted to pick San Francisco, but Chicago is clearly the better team. Chicago's at home where they play a lot better. Their defense is a lot better. They can stop the run. And yes, they got blown the crap out of by the Eagles, but they're not playing the Eagles. They're playing the 49ers. And I don't see how the 49ers going to get the same pressure on the quarterback. I think this might be Trubisky's best game of the season, actually. I think he might bounce back big in this game. And I think that their defense overall is going to, force the pressure on Jimmy G. But I think Jimmy G is still going to have a solid performance in this game overall. I look for him to keep it close, and you're going to clearly see the divide between Beathard and Jimmy Garoppolo. But I think the Bears are just the better overall team, and that's why I'm picking them.
Yeah, I'm easily taking the Bears in this one. Because San Francisco gives up the most I think the most fantasy points against any running back.
Yeah, they give up the most fantasy points to running backs.
So I just think
your mic is like fuzzy.
Hello? Check.
It's like take it out and then put it back in.
Are we good now? Are we good
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yep.
I can't even hear you now.
Hello?
What the fuck's going on?
All right, technical difficulties today. We have lag.
Christ,
we have
can you hear me now?
audio. The hell?
Jesus.
Can you hear now?
I can hear you.
All right, Kevel, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm picking the Bears here. One of the things I think, as much as people were on CJ Beathard, yeah, he was terrible, but drop balls like all over the place, just dropping balls. That's one thing. And I think the 49ers are
Who has
terrible.
better receivers? The Bears or the 49ers?
Kendall Wright versus Patton.
Marquise Goodwin versus Dontrell Inman.
I'll go Bears because I think you can go with Cohan can catch the ball.
All right. Hyde's been doing that a lot too for the 49ers, kind of opening his game up. Hyde's really underrated. I wish he was on like a better
man, I don't think so.
I don't think he's underrated at all.
I don't think so. I think there was hype for a bit. And I just think that's faded away. I think we've seen that. I don't think he might be better off on a good team. I don't think he's going to be successful ever again on San Fran. And at the beginning of the year, I was actually giving.
He's better than Jay Ajayi. Let me say that.
Well, maybe, but Ajayi barely plays and averages like 15 yards a carry. So I'll give him that.
Jay Ajayi. I would have to respectfully disagree with that.
All right. He usually rips up the Hawks. So,
what I will say is though, at the beginning of the year, I was kind of down on Chicago and thought San Fran was a little bit closer. I actually am switching gears now. I think Chicago is closer than San Fran now.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
I was just saying with that defense, but I just don't they're not going to be able to get where are they going to get all their skill players? Yeah, Garcon's going to be back. I don't think's the guy I would take. I think Howard's going to be better long term. Like what I'm seeing now.
Well, look at Chicago. Defense. I mean, they have Howard, they have Cohen in the backfield. That they're set there. Their offensive line is solid. They don't really need to move that around very much. Their quarterback. Then they have Cameron Meredith, and hopefully White comes back. And then they maybe draft or sign somebody there, like a veteran maybe they sign. And then they have Miller's probably not coming back at tight end, but they'll probably have to get somebody at tight end. And their defense has had a ton of injuries in their front seven, and it's already built. I mean, it's already built, especially their linebacking core. I think the Bears are a lot closer. I agree with you. I think the 49ers have a couple of pieces in the front seven on defense, and then a couple of pieces with Jimmy and their running backs are okay, and that's about it, though. Yeah. I mean, the 49ers don't really have anything.
Here's a question. Do you
Kev?
No. I don't know what he said.
Oh,
Kev, no. I can't hear you.
Oh, shoot.
You left.
Do you keep John Fox?
No. You get rid of him. All right. So we're all going with the Bears.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay versus Green Bay. This is definitely the most issues we've had this year on a hangout. Tampa Bay versus Green Bay. This is one where Jameis Winston is back for Tampa Bay. Don't know if you guys heard that latest news. Green Bay played really well against Pittsburgh last week. Or Pittsburgh played really poorly, depending on the way that you look at it. Brent Hundley played his best game as a pro. You got to give him that. And it seemed like McCarthy had a pretty good game plan in that game. Their defense still can't really stop anybody, but they are at home. They're in Lambeau, and I just look at this game, and I'm like, who has more to play for? I know Winston's back, but is Winston really that much better than Fitzpatrick? Has he learned for his lesson from sitting on the bench? Maybe he has. I hope he has because I'm a Winston fan. I hope he does well. But I think that Green Bay is just a team that has more to fight for. I think that they still think they have a chance to make the playoffs. They've seen Aaron Rodgers before the game ripping the ball around. So I'm going with the Packers. They're in Lambeau, tough place to play. Tampa Bay doesn't really have anything to play for, so I'm going to go with the Packers.
Yeah, from what we saw from the Packers, I guess offensively, because I still won't give the defense credit for that game against the Steelers, but I'll give their offense credit. Some big plays they were making. Hundley obviously had his best game. Tampa Bay's got a lot of problems. Remember we were talking about that defensive line and their linebackers with David last year and how this defense was looking good, but they've all like that defensive line with McCoy. They had Spence there last year. That's not even there anymore. Who else? Oh, and then like Levante David. Who's the other linebacker?
Quan Alexander.
Quan Alexander. Yeah. So it's like I don't know. Their defensive just. I think there's some leadership issues, and I hate to rag on Jameis Winston. But like ever since that thing with the fingers or whatever, where everyone clowned him, we were just like, we're gonna eat the W. It's like I don't know. I think there's some leadership issues in that locker room because they are somewhat talented. And Winston, I do like Winston as a quarterback. I just think maybe he's not the right guy to lead a team, to be the voice of a team moving forward. And another year, another Hard Knocks jinx. Another, the Hard Knocks show always, every year, you watch the show and you're just like, yeah, Tampa Bay, they're going to win the division. They're going to be great. And then they stink.
Next year, it's going to be like the 49ers or something.
Yeah. And then people are going to jump on the 49ers bandwagon. Like, no, man, this is their year every year. So in this one, I just think the Packers are going to be able to win. I think it's going to be close. I'll say 24-20.
Yeah, I almost picked Tampa Bay. Kev?
I'm picking the Packers. I think Brett Hundley has been steadily getting better, and he had a great game against Pittsburgh. And just think playing at Lambeau Field, what they got to Pittsburgh and win. That ghost in the background, Aaron Rodgers could be back. You got to knock this team out. I'm telling you. Knock this team out. You don't want to face Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs.
Yeah, you don't, because they are a team that could go into Philadelphia and win just because they have Aaron Rodgers.
100%. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers. I had Packers going to the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year.
You did.
Yeah.
So maybe it will still happen, but I doubt it. I don't think.
No, and the one thing it's funny. This is just an observation, but something I don't like about Huntley, how he chews his gum and he's like thinks he's like ultra cool even when he's making bad plays. You know what I mean? Like he has this like demeanor, which
he has the Aaron Rodgers demeanor. Though,
yeah, no, I know, but like even when he makes bad plays, he tries to like like even the mannerisms, just going up to the line, like he just he'll throw a bad pass and like act like it was a good pass, and he's just like, okay, we're all good. Like I don't know, just something pissed me off about him.
All right, I'll look out for that one. Indianapolis versus Jacksonville. I'm just going to say it, Jacksonville. The last time they played, 10 sacks. I don't think I have to say much more. The Colts haven't really improved. I like what I've seen from the Colts, though. They've kept games close. They've been competitive. They could have won both their last two games, but they just didn't because they're a bad team. And Jacksonville, again, another team that has a lot more to fight for. They're a playoff team. They're in playoff position, and I think their defense is going to be pissed off from what was a trap game last week against the Cardinals. I think they're going to be back this week.
Yeah, I'm taking the Jags in this one. I agree with you. I don't mind what Indy's doing, and I've been saying it all year long. I do think that this team wins a bit more games, and nothing against Brissett because I think he's been playing well. But I think this team is somewhat in the wild card discussion with Andrew Luck.
I do think that this team is set up next year to be a good team.
Yeah, to go right and contend because I think we'll see what Tennessee continues to do. But like if Tennessee doesn't continue to add, I think if they stay the same, everyone's going to get better over them. In my opinion.
It all depends on Andrew Luck, but we've liked the Colts from the offseason. They made some nice moves in free agency. They had a nice draft. And by the way, they lost their first round pick this year, who was playing awesome. Mm-hmm. And they seemingly made some nice trades and moves, even with the Brissett move, which has seemed like a nice move. So the Colts looking good for the future, but just not right now.
Yeah, but the Jags. I'll take the Jags by. I don't know. I'm not going to go very much. I'm going to go 20-3.
I think this game is going to be a lot closer than
Kevel, you're killing me, bro.
What?
Yeah,
Holy.
really bad.
Okay. Why?
It's lagging. Really bad.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to switch here.
It's like a dial-up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jacksonville. We'll see what happens in this, but the thing is too. Yeah, this Indy's defense isn't as good as that Arizona defense. For Jacksonville's gonna be able to move the ball to get some sort of points, plus maybe get some good field position.
Yeah, for sure. Let's answer some questions real quick as Kev figures it out. He says, how do you feel about Eli being benched? Let's just answer that question right now.
I see what they're trying to do, but I wouldn't go to Geno. I go to Davis Webb, who I actually don't mind. I liked him in college. I think he was a decent player. He's a gunslinger, has a good arm. I think you would go to him just to see what you got, because this is the season, and they probably will go to him if they lose. I think Geno lasts maybe 1-2 games.
Yeah, I think from what I've heard is even I heard this in the preseason is that Geno Smith was playing really, really well, and he looked like a different guy and all this stuff. So maybe they want to give him maybe they want to throw the guy that's maybe had some experience with, say, maybe a little bit of potential left, and they want to see if he really has something left in him this season, because they know they're going to lose, and they know they suck, and they don't want to really throw the rookie into the fire. So maybe they're just going to give Geno Smith a couple more chances to prove himself. If not, they put Davis Webb in, or maybe they're just fine with losing. I don't know. And they're trying to make a point to Eli that we're done with you. And the other thing that's weird is that Ben McAdoo just basically set himself up to be fired. But whatever.
Yeah. He was going to be fired anyway, though.
I know.
I think the Eagles killed the Giants' season on that 62-yard field goal.
Just give pat the Eagles on the back a couple more times there.
Yeah, but no, I was thinking that game, that was probably their best half of that second half when they came back, or that was probably their best quarter of football all season. The Giants, probably. When they got 3 touchdowns, Odell went off. Yeah.
Kevel,
what do you think about that Eli situation before you give us your pick, lag free?
Leg free. I think, you know what? I want to kind of rip on the media a little bit, because we've been ripping on the media all year on Eli, and everyone's coming calling him trash, and now all of a sudden he's getting benched. We're like, respect to Eli, man. Respect to Eli.
But Kev, here's the thing. You don't bench a guy when you're freaking terrible. Okay,
no, I agree with that.
And it's not his fault, too.
And it's not his fault,
offensive line, too.
Okay, at this point, it's not his fault. But he's not very good. Let's be honest. He's not very good.
The last 4 years.
He's a guy. Think about this. He's a guy that won you 2 Super Bowls. He's a guy that was a top pick.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's going to be in your Ring of Honor, in your Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
This is a guy that's going to be on the name on your stadium, whatever, right? And you're treating him like this,
I totally agree with that.
I don't like Eli Manning. If anybody here doesn't like Eli Manning, it's me, okay? I don't like Eli Manning. But, okay, he is a legend to the Giants organization. A lot of fans really like Eli, and I just feel like they should have played it out this season and just given him his respect, let him go at the end of the season, whatever, say goodbye. But the other thing is, if you don't want to do that and if you want to let him go, release him. Let him go play for the Jaguars.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I don't disagree. How they handled this was hot garbage, but I think I agree. I think you should have let him either play out the year, release him. I'm a little skeptical of Geno Smith. I mean, I understand the Giants are in next year mode. You're not going to have Eli next year. You got to see what you have. I get it. But the way they treated Eli was bad. And what was worse was Ben was like, well, we'll start you so you can keep your starter streak going, but then we're going to bench you.
Yeah.
How dumb is that? I think Ben McAdoo might be the worst coach in NFL history. I think that there's a reasonable argument for this.
No, it's funny too. It's you just see fan bases. You know what I mean? When he got hired, everyone loved him. Benny with the good hair, everyone was going nuts. They were loving.
Good. Get out of here! You never had good hair.
No, I'm saying, but the people in New York loved the hire. They thought it was so cool. They liked it. Same with the Eagles. When Chip Kelly got hired, everyone drank the Kool-Aid. Everyone drinks the Kool-Aid no matter who's the coach. When is your team – I guess you haven't been through it, Mitch. But, like, when your team hires a new coach, you buy in. Unless it's like
I have with the Penguins, I guess.
Well, yeah, like you buy into the coach without knowing that much about the guy. You just buy in. Right? Like, you just look at one resume and be like, oh, that's good enough. Like, let's do it. Like, he's the coach. Let's all get behind him, right? And then if it's a bad 2 years, now it's like, no, he's the worst ever. It's funny how that works.
I guess my question is, if you're the Giants, where are you going to go for a coach? Are you going to go with a bigger name like a Gruden, Dungy, someone like that?
I think it's McDaniels. I'm sticking there. I'm staying there.
Give Spagnuolo. I bet you they're going to go soft and just like hire Spagnuolo.
No, I think Gruden's going back to Tampa Bay. I think
I've heard that. Yeah.
No, yes, but Spagnuolo's the defensive coordinator, and their defense has been has been good in the past. Like, maybe they just go hire and get an offensive coordinator that just does the offense.
I think they need. I think they need somebody different.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, they're not normally known for big names besides Parcells, because Coughlin wasn't a big name when they first hired him, right? Like, he had some success.
Parcells wasn't either, though.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
No, Parcells wasn't that big of a name either.
They screwed up because they should have hired Belichick. That's just my opinion. Anyways, let's move on. So who is your pick, Kevin?
For Colts Jags? I think this game is going to be closer than people think. I think the Colts are going to put up a fight. The Jags are not that good of a team at home. I don't think I think their defense is starting to struggle a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. I did put in the message the Colts, but I'm changing my mind here. I'm going to go with the Jags, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think that this is an under 7-point game. I think the Colts are going to put up a fight.
Just pick the Colts, Kev.
All right, I'll do it. I'll pick the Colts.
Okay.
Picking the Colts.
All right.
Go Colts.
The next pick, I made that mistake last week, even though they were really close. Yeah. Denver versus Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. This is the worst game of the week, in my opinion.
This is not the worst game. We're about to pick the worst game of the week.
This is the worst game, bro.
No, Giants.
There is not. Okay, maybe there's one more, but this might be the worst game. This is the game I'm going to watch the least of. Okay, Trevor Seaman is out there. Talib suspended. For the Dolphins, who cares who's playing quarterback? I can't keep track. Their team is terrible. They can't tackle. Their defense is bad. Their offense is bad. Their coaching sucks. Denver, they have the worst coach in the league, probably. They might have the worst guy. I think Vance Joseph might be worse than Ben McAdoo. Bro,
Vance Joseph, man.
I don't know why.
Not having the time of his life at all.
Can someone explain to me why they hired Vance Joseph? I haven't.
You know who Vance Joseph was?
Bro, I don't know. I don't have one reason.
All I know, he was quarterback at Colorado. Now he is having the time of his life. Coach Vance Joseph.
Bro, the Broncos should have been a good team, and they messed it up. And even though I didn't pick them to go to the playoffs, I actually picked them to finish last in this division. So it looks like they're going to do, but like still. And the Dolphins, they're just worse. So I don't know who to pick. I wanted to flip a coin. But overall, I'm doing it again, and I'm going with the Broncos. I don't know why. Maybe they're the slightly better team. I saw that they probably should have won last game if they would have had a better quarterback.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking of this game.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah. Trevor Siemian's going to be playing. He's better than Paxton Lynch, and I think that gets their receivers a little bit more involved in this one, and I think the Broncos will win probably by like 3 or 4 or something like that.
I think the problem with Siemian when he started not playing well is I think they started just going up against pretty good, better competition that maybe, or better defenses that hurt him. Because for his start, where people were like, I think in the first 3 games of the season, people were like,
the worst fantasy trade in the history of mankind.
But still, like, if you think about it, I think the first 3 weeks, if you look at his stats, he would have been like like a top 3 quarterback, like the first 3 weeks of the season. Like there was times there where he's throwing for like 400 yards and like 3 touchdowns every game. And people were like, "Yo, he could be the MVP." Like the first 3 games, but no, that's why.
Same as Alex Smith.
I think he gets it back. I think he gets it back going, and yeah, the Dolphins are brutal. So I think it's going to be. I'll go 28-17.
Oof, that's an easy win.
I don't think it's going to be 28-17, but I'm going to say that the Broncos.
Oh, you don't?
Win.
We're just putting. It's not exactly going to be 28-17. You know that, right?
But,
no, it's not going to be 28-17 That's so wrong.
No, you're so wrong, AC. You're so wrong. Okay,
those are the wrong
17 is like the most ridiculous score ever. Okay?
No, Kev is the worst with scores. Like you're okay to say that 31-3 is a bad score for Tennessee beating Pittsburgh. Okay, that's fine. No. But when AC says 28-17, I mean, I think it's going to be closer, but that's not like the most outrageous
what I was trying
score
to
I've ever heard
say.
in my life.
That's what I was saying.
I'm just kidding.
I
just thought it'd be funny and just to be like 28-17. There's no way. It's like, yeah, when we tell these scores, it's pretty hard to be accurate.
Actually, I was really accurate with the Dolphins score last week, but maybe that was because it was the Patriots.
I know, but if we actually took what we said the score would be, and
we would lose every time
for every single game. Maybe 2 of them would be within.
Totally right.
Yeah.
So for sure. I'm going 2017 Denver. This Dolphin team is awful, but just on a side note, Shannon Sharp unloaded on John Elway's draft record. Like not only for quarterbacks, but overall that offense, the way that they've drafted offensively. If it wasn't for the Cleveland Browns, this Denver Broncos team would be facing a lot more criticism for poor drafting, specifically offensively. Like they're
still living off the Josh McDaniels drafting.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, like I know John Elway's been to 2 Super Bowls, but I think it's a fair question to wonder how overrated this guy is and how stubborn he's been overall with some of his picks and his decisions. I think he's a handcuff to the organization. I would consider turping him, but that'll be really tough to do.
Yeah.
I don't think Garrett Bowles was that bad of a pick.
No, I don't think so either.
Shane Ray, not bad, but maybe like you still need to win some picks in the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds, though. I feel like for a team to draft well, you need at least one of your 4th, 5th, 6th to turn out to be a very good player. Because I think if you look down the roster, if you look at every team's draft, some of the good teams, and you just pick one player that was drafted either in the 3rd, 4th, 5th for that team, I bet you one of them has been something to help that team. And I think that's what you need to do to win. I think 1st round picks are somewhat of a crapshoot, but you kind of know somewhat what you're going to get. If it's a bust, it's too bad. But like you were going to take that guy no matter what. You didn't know what he was going to do in the NFL, right? So that's why I think 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th rounds are huge, right? And it's tough to find a quarterback.
Here we go again. Anyway, I'm not even gonna get into that one. What was I gonna say? The AC totally threw me off here. What I was gonna say was, damn it, I was reading one of these comments.
Vance Joseph or what?
No, Vance Joseph sucks. Okay, stop it with Vance Joseph. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. Someone said John Elway has no vision. Okay. Back in 2012, 2013, that area, we were praising John Elway. Even as far back as, a couple of years ago, we were talking about John Elway, best GM in the NFL. And I don't want to, be that Patriots fan and be like, oh, well, Belichick didn't sign all these old guys and stuff. But that's exactly what the Broncos did. And that's why the Broncos beat the Patriots for a couple of years there, because they had the better roster. And they had the older guys, the vets, and they were bringing them all in, and they were making this superstar squad. But then once you get a couple of years down the road, those teams start to really just dissolve. Guys start retiring. Guys aren't as good. Like AC's been saying, Talib isn't as good. You had Ware retire this offseason. A bunch of stuff happens. Guys want more money. Yeah, so like things happen with those teams when you try and build these superstar teams with a bunch of veteran players instead of having a good mixture and finding and picking your spots like some of the good teams do in the free agency and in the draft. So that's just what's happened with John Elway. He wanted to win a Super Bowl with Peyton so bad that he went out there and he bought everybody he possibly could. And now it's kind of, and now you're seeing it. I mean, and I don't even disagree with what John Elway did. I would have done the same thing. I'd have been like, I have Peyton Manning. He's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. He's playing amazing. I want to get him a Super Bowl. I want to win a Super Bowl. This is our best chance to win a Super Bowl. Let's do it. Let's get everybody we possibly can. But it's just going to take a few years here to rebuild the process, rebuild a team that can actually win because you've spent all that money and all that time and all that investment in older players that could only win for a couple of seasons.
Yeah. I mean, I get what he did, right? I totally understand that. But at the same time, you also had the opportunity to prepare yourself for after Manning, i.e. what Green Bay did with Favre and Rodgers, and they didn't do that. They had the opportunity to draft a guy like Derek Carr, who could have sat on the bench, and once Peyton retired, you would have had Derek Carr, and the Broncos would be much better with Derek Carr, no question about it. But they didn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think when you have a quarterback like Peyton, you have the ability to win the Super Bowl every year. And I think that something that we criticized the Colts for doing was never really going out there and signing those guys to help him. And I think that's what Elway tried to fix. And he did, but he maybe did it too much. He maybe went overboard with it. But anyways, we're still all going with Denver, despite them being so shitty. But I guess that's what we think of Miami. Our next game is Kansas City versus the New York Football Jets. The Jets are at home. Jets, Jets. I'm picking the Jets. Let's go. I can't pick Kansas City anymore. I've picked them like 3-4 weeks in a row. They're like 1-5 in their last 6 games. I was the person when they were like 5-6-0 saying, hey, hold up. Yeah, nobody wants to give me that credit, whatever.
No, I'll give you that credit, but you were just more like, you didn't say this. You were like, let's wait to the playoffs. What are they going to do in the playoffs?
Okay. Yeah, but I also did say that they fell apart a couple years ago. My thing is with the Chiefs, are they going to make the playoffs? Because looking at teams that have started 5-0. I think it's 5-0. In 2009, the New York Giants were 5-0, finished 8-8. In 2013, the Falcons started 5-0, finished 8-8. The Vikings last year were 5-0, finished 8-8. So it just seems like the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think there's another team in there. The Kansas City Chiefs just seem like that team this year. It seems like every year there is a team that happens. It's been the last 3 years in a row where a team starts off really, really hot, and then they, for whatever reason, just fall off and lose a bunch of games at the end and end up missing the playoffs. For the Vikings last year, it was mostly injury-related. For Kansas City, I have really no idea why that is happening. Alex Smith is not playing as well. It seems like everybody's figured out what they're doing on offense. Their defense obviously has not been good all year, and when your offense isn't scoring as much as it was previously, that's just what happens. But now they're going out to sign old men like Darrelle Revis to hopefully salvage their season. I don't know. I like how the Jets are playing. I know that the Jets and AC is hating on the Jets.
I'm not hating. I'm just like, they just don't win games, like close games. They find ways to lose games.
They play competitive, good football, and that's better than the Chiefs have played.
And I've said that. I'm just saying they haven't been able to beat those good teams when they're in the games, like Carolina last week. Like Tampa Bay, they couldn't even beat Tampa Bay.
And the Chiefs are coming to New York to get their second L of the season. I think, Chiefs aren't good at stopping the run or the pass. McCown's looking good. Robbie Anderson's looking good. Their run game's looking good. They had a good game against the Panthers last week. If it weren't for a special teams touchdown and a Luke Kuechly fumble return, they might have actually won that game.
True.
So in this one, sure, Kansas City might win. They might be the better team record-wise, but they're not playing the better football. For me, I'm going with the team that's playing the better football. And for me, I'm going with the New York Jets.
Yeah, I respect that. I can see why people would think that. I know KC's been so bad. I just think that I'll go with them one more week because if they lose this game, they are not making the playoffs, and probably the Chargers probably might win the division now. And have a home field in the home field depending on who they play.
Hey, Kev, are those tickets still available?
Yes, there are. There's still tickets available at the Chargers game. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go
StubHub Arena.
Bro, I don't even know if half the arena is going to be filled up for the Browns game this week.
No, not at all. I just think KC, they need this one. They just need to get back on track, and I'll just pick them because I'm picking them because they need it obviously more than the Jets, and plus I feel like the Jets haven't been able to win those close games. At least in a while. I think it all started when they lost to Tampa Bay, and I think they're starting to go downhill a bit.
I think it all started when they lost to New England.
I guess maybe that. But I'm just saying
because of that call.
But then you lose to Tampa Bay as well.
And for some reason, Austin Seferian-Jenkins is screwed. He can never score a touchdown ever now. Every single touchdown he scores gets reversed. It's weird. I don't know. It's happened 3 times this year.
Yeah, well, I'll go. Yeah, so I'll just go with the Chiefs, but I'm going to say close. I'm going to say 20-17.
Do you think that the Chiefs can make it?
I don't think the Chiefs are going to do anything in the playoffs, but I still think that they can maybe make the playoffs.
Do you think when it comes down to it in a couple of weeks when they play the Chargers, they will beat the Chargers?
No, at this point, no. But I think they can beat the Jets.
Okay.
At this point, yes, I would say the Chargers would be the better team.
Wouldn't it come down to who wins that game at this point? Say both teams win the rest of their games.
For sure, but I'd say that you can't count the Raiders out yet.
Raiders are shit.
No, I know. Still, with their schedule, it's they're still getting some wins now later in the season. There's the way the standings are. They're standings wise, they're right there with the Chargers and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But and they'll play each other, so they'll get another shot at it, right?
So, Mitch, you're picking a team that has lost 5 in a row.
No, I'm not.
Kansas City. Yeah, you are.
I'm picking the Jets.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm sorry. They beat the Bills. My apologies. I'm picking Kansas City here. I just think that I'm with AC, unfortunately. I just don't think the Jets can win close games. They haven't proven that to me. I think they fight.
And the Chiefs?
They can beat a team like the Jets. Yes, I think they're going to rebound and beat a team like the Jets. They actually have a pretty easy schedule. Other than the Chargers, they got the Raiders, Dolphins, and Broncos. So they potentially could go 4-1 and still make the playoffs.
See, the Raiders are done. The Raiders aren't making it.
Yeah, and if at this point, if they go 4-1, they win the division.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Okay, the Raiders, they play the hardest schedule by far. Okay? They play the Giants this week. They play the Chiefs in Kansas City. They play the Cowboys. They play in Philly, and they play in Los Angeles Chargers. So,
yeah, the Raiders.
Raiders are done. I think they suck.
So. Yeah. We'll worry about the playoffs with KC later, but at this point, when we're focusing right now on the New York Jets, I think that they can win this game. I think that they can rebound enough in this game to do enough to win. I think we got to give respect to Andy Reid. He'll make some adjustments.
I've been saying that the last 3 weeks, and it hasn't happened.
Well, it can happen now. It's Andy Reid. He has found ways to win. He's found ways in adversity to come through. I'm going to give him the shot this time.
All right.
And that's the one thing I will say is regardless of how it works out, they still end up above Andy Reid teams still are above 500. And I think it's going to take the Chiefs to even win the division or even make the wild card to get to a couple games above 500. So that's why I think it's still somewhat tough for the Chargers. But Detroit beating Baltimore would help that out a ton.
Yeah.
For the Chargers.
Okay. So we're all not on the Jets like I hoped. You're on the Chiefs, except for me, the Jets. Houston
Dilly's on the Jets too, by the way.
Yeah, Dilly Vanilli. Houston versus Tennessee. All right. I'm going with the Titans. They're just the team that looks like they're the playoff team. Houston is not good. They did put up a fight against Baltimore, but Baltimore is much more their style. Baltimore doesn't have much of an offense, as we discussed. And I think the Titans, even though I've been ripping them apart, they've at least been finding ways to win against bad teams. And I think the Texans are a bad team, and they're familiar with the Texans. I think also, I believe earlier this year, didn't they get blown out by the Texans earlier this year? With Deshaun Watson at quarterback?
I'll have to look.
That might have been the Jags, but I could be wrong. But I thought it was the Titans. And if that's the case, I mean, there's a revenge factor in that, even though it's not the same quarterback, not the same team, really. But I'm looking here to see how the Titans can do against this weak secondary. Hopefully we see that the Titans can pass the ball in this game. Like, if the Titans can pass the ball with some effectiveness, should be able to easily win this game. And guys, I'm finally going to give it up. I think it's time for DeMarco Murray. He is DUNE. I think he's done. I think you need to give Henry the ball more. If you want to win, I think you need to give Henry the ball more. Sure, have DeMarco in there to catch the ball on third down, but like, Henry has been the much more effective runner as of late. And like I said, they find a way to beat bad teams. They'll do that again. It's just when the Titans play a good team, that's when I'm concerned. When they play bad teams, I'm not really.
Yeah,
so I'm going with the Titans, especially at home. So
yeah, I'm taking the Titans too. And for the Titans, numbers are horrible, but there's something to be said with coming back and winning games like they have, because they've done it a lot this season, even against bad teams, which I know they should be beating these bad teams, but I still give a team credit to be able to come back regardless of who they're playing and end up winning games, and especially the way they've been doing it late in the fourth quarter a lot of the time. Houston Savage is brutal. That was a horrible game. He might want to play a bit better, but I think Tennessee is going to be able to stop Houston enough with their defense. I know their defense isn't great, but like I said, they've given up the fewest 20-yard plus plays in the league, which is pretty surprising for a defense that isn't that great. Offensively, Mariota is doing just enough. Matthews is going to be back, which I think helps them spread the field a bit more. And I agree with you. I think I said it when we watched that Monday night game that Murray's lost a step and that Henry should start getting more. And then in the offseason, get like a legit third down back, a pass catching back. And I think that could be good. Maybe they start doing it with maybe bring Adoree in there a bit more now and start playing like a third down back. Maybe that would be interesting. But yeah, Tennessee wins this one. I think just by a touchdown. So I'm going to go 27 to 20.
The game you're referring to was the October 1st game, Texans 57, Titans 14 in Houston. Won't be the same this time. Tennessee will win, probably 21-17. I do agree with you about the running game. Not sold on Mariota, not as much as I wanted to be, not as much as he's hyped up to be. I must have been a little bit disappointed. I'm a little bit disappointed in that defense. They have a pretty easy schedule, though. Well, they got Houston, Arizona, San Fran, but then they face LA and Jacksonville at the end, which I think will be the telltale of when they are where they sit in playoff standing. But they should win this one against Houston.
Okay. Next game, we have the Los Angeles Chargers at home in a packed stadium versus the Cleveland Brownies. Going with the Chargers. This is by far the biggest spread they've had to cover all year. It's 13 points, I think, as of now. Browns stink. Chargers are playing really good football. I think it's as simple as that. I think this is another game that Chargers defense continues to play really, really well. I think a lot of people want to talk about that offense, but really the driving force of their team has been their defense. Their defensive line, a couple guys in the secondary. Safeties are playing really well, don't get a lot of recognition. And Phillip Rivers seems to be playing a lot better. Keenan Allen seems to be playing a lot better. So that's good for the Chargers. They keep rolling in this game, and they should win big.
Yeah, this is going to be quick. Chargers, Browns stink. Chargers are going to be able to beat these bad teams now. Maybe that's something that's maybe hindered them a bit early on the season was they were going up against good teams and losing not by much. And I think now they're getting to the point where they're playing a lot weaker teams, and they're going to run through the weaker teams, and they're ending with their final games of the schedule.
Tickets, again, for the folks that are watching the Bottom Line View in Los Angeles. Address again, 18400 South Avalon Boulevard. Capacity 27,000, so you should be able to fill that up. Check for tickets there. There are still tickets available. Game starts at 1:05. Go check it out. It's good times. It's the Chargers. Yeah, they'll win. I think the Browns have an opportunity not only go 0-16 this year, it is a possibility that they may not win another game this decade. It is entirely possible. There's only 2 more years left.
Says, they have not won a game on Sunday since Johnny Manziel was quarterback.
Yeah. See, so, yeah.
His boy, Johnny Manziel. He always has to bring that up.
Yeah.
But anyways, just for weekly sake, I will do this once. Da-da-da-da-da! Chargers. All right. Carolina Panthers versus the New Orleans Saints. This is a huge game in the NFC South. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of different thoughts on this. I could see you going either way. The way the Saints have been playing, not very good. The Panthers kind of squeaked a victory against the Jets, but overall their offense has been looking better. Cam Newton, not very good last week against the Jets. So you never really know what kind of Cam you're going to get, it seems, this year. But when he's on, and the Panthers play great, lights-out football. When he's not, they rather lose or they just barely win because their defense makes a couple plays. And for the Saints, I got to say it, man. Drew Brees looked like absolute dog crap last week. He was terrible. He was the reason why they lost that game against the Rams. They did everything they wanted besides Drew Brees making a couple plays. He missed throws. Jared Goff outplayed him completely. Jared Goff made more plays, and you guys know how I feel about Jared Goff. In this game, though, I think this is a bad matchup for the Panthers. I watched the game the first time around, and the Saints, dominated that game. And I just think that this is a bad schematic matchup for the Panthers. We saw what the Saints did to the Bills defense a little bit earlier, a couple weeks ago, the McDermott defense. Still the same scheme in the Panthers. Panthers have better players, obviously. But I think the Saints are going to be able to do a lot of what they did earlier in this season in terms of running and passing the ball against this defense. And this is a good defense, but I think they'll find a way to move the ball pretty consistently. I think Drew Brees bounces back. This is in New Orleans. This is not on the road, which is big. And I think, Cam will make plays. I think this is going to be a Cam week where he makes a lot of plays. This game will be really close. I think it will be a shootout, but I think the Saints find a way to win. Kamara is absolutely lights out, and the Saints are going to take this. I think it's going to be a lot closer, though. I'm going to say it's going to be like 30-24 for the Saints in a really good game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a shootout with I'm going to pick Carolina to come up top because I think from what I saw last week with the Saints, obviously it's one game. I just think the way, obviously the Panthers didn't have a good game as well, but I do think the Panthers match up well against the Saints. I don't think the Saints, obviously we haven't really seen them. We've seen them once against the Panthers, but I think that Cam Newton's going to have a good game. I think, too, when you look at Kamara out of the backfield, who better to cover Kamara than Luke Kuechly, which I think, that's probably going to be Kamara's toughest test. Saints are really good. Both these teams are going to do well moving forward. I just think Carolina is going to eke it out by a score late or a late field goal.
So do you think this means that Carolina wins this division?
That's what I was saying. And because I did say that last week, so I got to stick with it. So I have to really pick Carolina. But it could go either way. It wouldn't surprise me. I just think that Carolina's defense is a bit better than New Orleans' defense. And like you said, Cam Newton has to have a good game for them to win. And I think he's going to be able to do that.
I'm picking the Saints here. The Saints season basically turned around in Carolina when they thumped the Panthers. 3 interceptions, 167 passing yards for Newton that game. They rolled. I just think that the Saints have a lot of weapons. At home, they're a very confident team. They have not looked great in the last 2 road games, but they pulled it out against Washington. They fought back against LA. And I just think, I think overall New Orleans is a better team. What does concern me is the injuries in the secondary with Lattimore. That does concern me. Could be a high-scoring game, but I see it 27-24 New Orleans.
All right. The next game is those LA Rams. The LA Rams take on the Arizona Cardinals, who I've been saying Blaine Gabbert is better than Drew Stanton every single week. He got the victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not that that means much for Blaine Gabbert being better than Drew Stanton, but it does mean a lot for him that he beat his former team. And he's going to be playing again in this one. I think Blaine Gabbert is going to get some respect here a little bit. But I think that the Rams are going to pull this one out. I think this is going to be a good game, though. I actually think this might sneak up on the Rams and be a difficult challenge. They have some difficult things to deal with. I think the Cardinals' defense obviously played really well last week. And they've been playing better, I think, overall. But the Rams, man, the way that they've been playing, the way Jared Goff and Todd Gurley and Sean McVay's coaching this team, I really love the way they play in the fourth quarter. The way that they're aggressive with their play calling, especially when they're up and they're winning and they possess the ball really well. And then their defense is well coached. I mean, they don't have like the greatest players in the world. They do have like Aaron Donald, Robert Quinn, and Trumaine Johnson. But really besides that, maybe a couple underrated guys. But Wade Phillips just always has them in the right positions to make plays. I think they make a couple plays in this game. But I do think this could be a little closer than people think. I think it's going to be like 27 to 20 or something like that. I think they might win by like a touchdown, but I think the Cardinals will make this close because they have been playing a lot better as of late. So I'm going to go with the Rams, but I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as close as you guys think because I think maybe Gabbert had a little something extra to prove against his former team, which maybe made him play a little bit better than you would think. But I just think the Rams are going to continue to roll. They have a complete team right now, as like up there with Minnesota and the Eagles.
Yep.
With their defense playing really well, flying around and giving them good possessions, and then their offense just methodically working its way down the field, run game, passes, everything seems to be working. And I just think the Cardinals are just not in that league. Although it could be close because of that Jaguars, but I think to beat the Cardinals, your offense has to be clicking, and I think the Rams' offense is going to be clicking, that the Cardinals are going to be down too much that it's not going to matter what happens.
It's going to be interesting to see what the Rams do in terms of offense. Obviously, I think they're going to be able to move the ball, but like the Cardinals have a pretty good run D, and then the thing about this game is that Robert Woods is probably not going to play again. And we really didn't have a Saints corner that could cover Sammy Watkins. So he kind of had like his day and Cooper Kupp was open. So Cooper Kupp, I think, is going to have another big game because Patrick Peterson will probably be on Sammy Watkins. Who besides Cooper Kupp is going to step up for them? Other, Todd Gurley, obviously. But is there another receiver, tight end? That's kind of what I want to see from the Rams. Good teams continue to find ways to beat you different ways every single week, and that's what I want to see from the Rams this week. Obviously, I think they're going to win, but I just want to see with this offense, okay, who's the fourth, fifth guy that's going to step up and make plays for their offense?
The Arizona Cardinals are weird. I
think they have more wins than you said that they would all season already.
Yeah, I'll give them that.
Same as the Ravens, which that happened like week 3. So
week 3, yeah, whatever. They sneak up on you, though. You think that you look at them and you're like, how the hell do they do this? And they do it. I mean,
and the Cardinals, it's because the Cardinals don't have, the Cardinals have a way worse team than they did last year, like in terms of players, quality of players, but they might be just as good, if not better.
Yeah. Yeah. They just, it's weird. It's weird to explain how they do what they're doing. They're 5-6. I mean, I don't think people will look at that team and I think you're surprised that they're 5-6. I know that this is weird, but I'm going to pick Arizona. I think that they can trip up the Rams. I mean, I think schematically, yeah, you're probably right. The Rams have all these things going against them, but last time they faced, it was a 33-0 game. And so I think Arizona will be motivated by that. I think Blaine Gabbert can get some things done. You still got Fitz, who Fitz is is an all-time great. He's a legend. He can pull things off. I think Arizona is going to pull off a tight, close win here. I think it's going to be like another last-second field goal win.
This is just what you want because of the Seahawks.
Probably, but it's partially what I want. But I you know what? This I don't want to call it a trap game, but it's one of those ones where, you come off a pretty big win if you're the Rams against New Orleans. You can see a little bit of a letdown facing Arizona. And I can see that a bit. I think Arizona can sneak up on them.
All right. I'm trying to look up this stat real quick.
Well, no, that's just, it's tough. Like, what I was saying earlier, Kev, that it's hard to just think of. I just don't in what, like, I know you're trying to go on a limb, but you've gone out on so many limbs and been wrong that No, I understand that, but at some point we got to start building credibility where it's like you can't just keep on doing that and just try to, because we know if you hit one of these upsets, you're going to be the first one to let us know that you hit the upsets. But we'll know all the upsets that you didn't hit all season.
Oh yeah, well of course, there's a lot. I could be, I don't. As Mitch said, I don't think that this is not a blowout for the Rams. I don't see it. Anyway, if you're going to pick the Rams, I think this is one Arizona can cover. And I think with a couple of bounces here and there, this is one of those ones where Arizona, it's one of those teams that can sneak up on you and find a way to win. It's not that they're necessarily a better team than the Rams, but that's one of those games that's any given Sunday. Arizona's weird. Arizona's so I don't see.
I'm just saying, like, the spread. Like, I'm saying, like, Vegas has a spread at 7. So
what's funny,
Kev, to win
is you give obviously you said it's just a feeling. Like, I understand that, but you would never ever admit the reason why they have 5 wins is because of Bruce Arians. You would never ever admit that.
No, I wouldn't. No.
Okay. I do want to bring up the stat. Kill'em Boys asks, who is better, Jalen Ramsey or Marshawn Lattimore? Against Larry Fitzgerald, Jalen Ramsey played him last week, and Fitzgerald had 4 targets. And on those plays, he caught 2 passes for 4 yards. For minus 4 yards. Sorry. Not 4 yards. Minus 4 yards. So that's my answer. The next game we have is the Oakland Raiders versus the New York Giants, which this might also be the worst game of the week.
This is the worst game of the week.
I'm going with the Raiders. They're playing Geno Smith. I mean, maybe Geno Smith's got something up his sleeve, but the Giants are just not a very talented team. I do like the way that they're fighting, though. The last couple of weeks, they've played better. They beat the Chiefs. They were close against the Skins for a lot of that game. And I don't think the Raiders are very good. I think they played a shitty quarterback last week, and they got away with a win. But this week, they're at home, and they're the team that has more to fight for. So that's why I'm taking the Raiders. Simple as that.
Yeah, and they played a shitty quarterback last week, and they're playing an even more shitty quarterback this week. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Well, who knows who the new Geno Smith is?
I think Geno is better than Paxton Lynch.
Okay, maybe. I'll give you that. Okay, a bit. But I'm just saying, like, not by much. But maybe this preseason Geno Smith shows up.
Maybe.
But I don't know. I wanted to see Davis Webb.
He has had like a 6-touchdown game once.
Davis Webb actually is pretty solid in Madden. If you want a quarterback that's
there you go, Madden talk. So you picking the Raiders?
Yeah, easily. Raiders. Actually, I'm gonna go. It's gonna be 30-27, and it's gonna because they're gonna put Eli back in the second half, and he's gonna come back and make it a game.
Geno's gonna get hurt in the fourth quarter. Kev.
Yeah, picking the Raiders here. I don't think the Giants are the moving truck's out. Well, I think it's going to be interesting as Crabtree is suspended how Cordero Patterson does and guys like Johnny Holton do this week. I'll be interested in seeing that, how the depth of the Raiders do without Mr. Crabtree.
Crabtree! You don't put me up against a sorry receiver like Crabtree.
Crabtree!
There's something about Crabtree where every corner he plays hates him.
You can't be snatching chains.
Yeah, chain snatching.
I don't know. All right. The game of the week for the bottom line viewers. The Philadelphia Eagles take on the Seattle Shithawks in Seattle. 4, the game of the week, of course. I have already bet on this. I bet on this Monday night. It was -4. Now it's -5.5. I got a lot of money on the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm proud to say it, and I'm confident to say it. I put a lot of money on them when they played the Cowboys. I put a lot of money on them this last week against the Bears. I put a lot of money on them against the Seahawks. This week, I think that they are going to pound the Seattle Seahawks into the dirt. Honestly, the only conversation I hear is this is a Eagles trap game. Well, they've already won 10 trap games in a row. If you ask Eagles fans, every single game is a trap game. They're going to win their 11th trap game of this season against the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, you're right. It's like every game when you're the favorites, it's like, I don't know. And you know me, I'm not one to be like, we're going to definitely win and smash, because you just never know. Like, Eagles fans just want to get to the playoffs already, right? We want that to happen. The players don't. I enjoy watching it every week because it seems like the players just want to keep on beating up on bad teams and making, I guess they haven't really played a really great.
So what you're saying is you want to see if this team is really that good. You want to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, I would like to see them. I think this is probably their toughest game of the season besides the Chiefs, but that was week 2, and we only lost by 7, and that was what peak Chiefs.
Yeah, that is an interesting stat. Even though the Eagles have been beating up on teams,
and they've only
played 2 teams with a winning record. They beat one of them and they lost one of them. So
which is fine how it ends up, because even the Patriots only have 2 wins against winning teams.
Yeah, so
it's like
that's just the way the season.
Exactly, and like you said, it's not a slight, but I'm just saying what I do like is the way we've played against bad teams, winning since Carolina, average margin of victory 25 points, because obviously the Broncos game makes it a lot bigger.
And
but
I think the Seahawks are a bad team with an MVP player at quarterback. I think that's the Seattle Seahawks right now. I think that's them right now. They have no run game. They have no line. They have a couple of receivers that make plays 40 yards down the field, but if they're not wide open, they don't catch the ball. I agree. Wilson is running around for his life. He'll do that in this game because Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, all those boys are going to be coming after him, and they're going to get some sacks. And I think Schwartz is going to do a really good job of sending some corners, sending some contains out there to try and confuse and force Russell Wilson into awkward situations to throw the ball. And then on defense or on offense, now Cam Chancellor's done for the year. Richie Sherman done for the year. Your whole defensive line is old and done. Cliff Avrill's going to retire. Bennett doesn't look like the same player. Yeah, you have a couple of linebackers. I'll give you that, Kev.
Yeah, Bobby Wagner.
The Eagles and the Eagles haven't been amazing me on offense, but they're a very solid, good offense. They make plays when they need to. They don't dominate necessarily, but Carson Wentz makes some plays. Alshon Jeffrey lately, especially. Their run game has occasional good games every once in a while, but especially in the fourth quarter, they know how to close it out.
And that's huge. Yeah,
I think the Eagles, Carson Wentz, gonna make plays, and I think their defense is gonna just suffocate Russell Wilson. And I think that's gonna be it. I think it's gonna be 27-13 for the Eagles.
Yeah, and listening to Philadelphia, the coaches, they're not taking this game for lightly, because even Schwartz said, Wilson is their leading rusher, but if you actually add up all their running backs, and if they just had one lead back, he'd be there. It's not as worse as it seems. If they've had a lot of injuries, if they added up all the running backs that were the start.
I mean, Eddie Lacy had his best game of the year last week. It was 40 yards.
Yeah. But what I will say is this: I've been saying this all season. I love my Eagles. I love how the offense is playing, but I will say this: defense is the reason. At the beginning of the season, when we were rolling, we were 16th in points. Remember, a lot of teams were getting garbage time touchdowns on us and yards late in game when we were winning big. Now we're down to 3rd in a scoring defense and 6th in yards per game. From 16, 17. That's getting up there to being a number 2 offense with a top 5 defense, which is getting up there into, the things you look at when you look for a great team. The combination of that. Yeah. I'll say this. The one thing I think that if the Seahawks have a chance of winning, it will be when the Eagles bring the blitz and Wilson does his thing where he just throws it up.
Yeah, it's the
you know what I mean?
play.
It's what he does. He'll just like there's a blitz and he just knows the guy's there somewhere, even though there's a guy on him, and somehow they get those catches all the time. It's like, okay, throw it, and like
I hate that
he does it all the time.
I don't know how you can be a Seahawks fan. I can't.
Right.
Like if Tom Brady was just running around like that and just like Gronk catch it,
yeah,
like almost like what?
Okay. And I do think if we look at the type of blitz packages they did for Prescott, it was very interesting because sometimes they only rush 2 in the middle, and then they'd wait for their defensive ends because they knew that the quarterback would leave the pocket and they'd be ready to go.
Yeah, so I think we all agree that the Eagles are the favorites here. I'm not going to dispute that they're not. Obviously, they're 10-1. Obviously, they've not scored lower than 20 points in any game this season. Obviously, they're the number 1 team. We have talked about that ad nauseum. The head would tell you, my head is saying the Eagles will win. My heart is saying that the Seahawks will win. I think we need to win, no question. If, as I said last week on the recap, I did the map like AC did the map of Blair Walsh's field goal and went fluttering. I did a map. I drew the Super Bowl map as we have to go to Philadelphia and we have to win. Like that's the only way we're going to get it done. So
you almost agree with me that this game doesn't matter then.
For who? The Eagles?
Well, I'm just saying, but what do you mean go to Philadelphia? That's in the playoffs. So you have to win this game first.
Yeah, no. So what I'm saying is if we got to beat Philadelphia, we might as well do it now. That's my point. We got to win this game.
It's hard to beat a team twice. I think it's the opposite.
That's bullshit.
That's the age-old thing.
I think it's one of the things that I think is going to be interesting is what Jimmy Graham is going to be. I think a key factor in this game. I don't think this offensive line is.
I think that too. If they're gonna move the ball, Jimmy Graham's gonna have to be open.
And
Jimmy Graham's going to be.
And you know who would cover him? Malcolm Jenkins. How we bring down and we have backup safeties that come, and Malcolm Jenkins always goes against the top flight tight ends and does a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, I'm not going to dispute that Malcolm Jenkins' ability. I think the offensive line's a little bit better than you guys are giving him credit for. I think Dwayne Brown has stabilized that, as well as Ethan Pochek, I think, has played.
Yeah, but the rest of their line.
And Ethan Pochek has played pretty well. Luke played okay last week.
Who?
Luke Jokel played last week.
The bust.
Luke Jokel, the bust. In a better situation here. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm not going to say this is a blowout. I'm picking this.
Who's going to win?
I'm picking with my heart. I'm picking the Seahawks with my heart.
Right.
That's respectable. I'm a fan.
And, and it is a must win.
Yeah.
If you don't win. Yeah.
We're still going to tear you apart if you lose, though.
And you know what, AC? If we win, I'll tear you apart too. So
that's fine.
Right.
Because
I told you when the Eagles lose one game this year.
No. Because I've been saying that it's one game. You clown me more when they lose 2 in a row because it won't. If the Eagles lose this game, which I don't think they will, it won't bother me in the slightest. Lose the next game, it will bother me.
2 in a row.
Lose one. Not at all, because no team's invincible. I picked them to have 10 wins this week, this year, and they're already 10-1.
Yeah, and if the Eagles win, they clinch the NFC East, pretty much, don't they?
They need Redskins to win, and then
okay. So
Yeah. All right. And the Monday Night Football game, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals still have their season alive. They're going to need to win this game. This is in Cincinnati. Pittsburgh beat them pretty good the first time around. I think it was like 30-16 or something like that. I don't know the exact score, but don't quote me on that. Something like that. Pittsburgh had a tight one against Green Bay. They've had a tight one against the Colts. They haven't been playing their best football. They had a nice game against the Titans. Let's see if they can, bring that to the road because that's where they usually tend to struggle. Are they sleeping on the Bengals? That's the huge question. I never know when the Steelers are really going to come out and play a good game, and I don't know when they're going to come out and play a bad game. That's part of the Steelers' identity at this point. But I'm going to pick them because they are the more talented team, and they should win this game, and they need to keep pace with the Patriots. They are telling you they need to, and they will. So I think, the Steelers, more talented team. I think this is going to be a close game, though. I think it's going to be down to the wire. I think the Bengals sneaky good defense, and I think they're going to, force a couple mistakes from Big Ben. Big Ben has been playing a lot better, though, so you got to give him that respect. And defensively, I just, other than AJ Green, I don't think the Steelers really have a lot to worry about. If the Steelers are going to get shredded in this game, that's a lot. That's like you should be worried if you're a Steelers fan if you get shredded in this game, because I don't think the Bengals have much to shred you with other than AJ Green. I mean, Mixon plays okay, but what worries Pittsburgh? So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I'm going to say the game's going to be 24-20 for the Steelers.
Yeah, normally these games are pretty close. Except for if you look at historically, the game that was played earlier in the season was probably the biggest lopsided there's been in a while. Because I know last year it was at least 5 or 6, 7 points, something like that. And
I will say this: the Steelers haven't lost to the Bengals in like 4 years.
Yeah,
I don't remember the last time they lost.
And they're always close. Ben on the road, but I do think we're seeing a different type of Ben right now. Hopefully, for my fantasy sake. Because he pretty much single-handedly put me in the playoffs for the last 2 weeks with big wins. Because I was down like 40 points with 2 guys, and then Ben the last 2 weeks has put up 30 points. That's beside the point of this game, but I just hope that he does. It's going to be close just because I feel like if the Steelers just miss a couple drives, I don't think Cincinnati's going to get that much. They might get a couple touchdowns, but what we've actually seen from the Bengals is they've been able to hit on some big plays.
Yeah.
Which, obviously I didn't like when we talked about how bad Steelers defense was this past weekend. But if that continues to be a problem, that could be a key to that game, is the defense giving up big plays. Because I do think that pass rush is good, and I do think they're going to get to Dalton. It's just if those DBs can at least hold them to just like dink and dunks rather than going big plays to Green. And Green's been pretty productive the second half of the season.
Oh, Green's great. He's a great player. Kev.
I don't think this game is as close as you think. The Bengals have the worst rushing offense in the league, which I think is.
Well, I didn't think the Packers game would be close. I don't know how to pick the Steelers.
I just look at, to me, the Steelers are the Steelers. It's just, the Bengals just feel inconsistent. And I remember going back to that Texans game where we were like, I'm not sure what was going on. I still don't know the identity of the Bengals. I don't know who they are. I think they feel like a mediocre 5-6. They don't scare me in any way. I kind of think this will be a 34-20 win for Pittsburgh. I think that they'll win a lot bigger than people think. I think Brown will have a big game.
That's
Bell
probably where most people think they'll win. I'm guessing.
No, yeah. And I think Bell will have a big game too.
All right.
But,
Bell I think he had a decent game the first time they played. I don't remember. A lot of weeks ago. But we're all going with the Steelers. All right, so those are our picks for week number 13 of the NFL season. Let's get to the comments real quick. I know I want to ask AC a question. They were talking about this in the comments. Everybody was saying about the Carson Wentz Brady debate. Everybody was on the Wentz wagon here.
No, and I don't mind saying it because some people need to hear it. I think, what Wentz is doing, and I've been the biggest Wentz fan since day one. Like, I know that, like,
no, but I think the general consensus is that Wentz is the MVP.
No, and I just disagree with that, because if you really truly look at it, I think I just always go back to that defense, and I think that defense is taking a lot of pressure off Carson Wentz. And I'm a fan, and it's not like I'm taking anything against Carson Wentz, because Carson Wentz is making all the throws, making all the plays. I feel like he's just done a complete 180 from last year, and which is what you want to see from a rookie going his sophomore year. I just think with Brady, look at his yards, look what he's doing. Look, he doesn't have as good of his defense. They don't even have a running game whatsoever. So
I would disagree with that.
Well, like,
the run game is good. I think you're underrating their run game.
Okay, I'm saying yards wise, it's not great. You do great with your running backs by passing to them, but Tom Brady gets them the ball, which just proves our point even more that I do think Brady is the MVP. But like you said, and what I've heard on the radio, everyone likes the new thing. You know what I mean? LeBron James technically should win.
Yeah, but Brady never wins the MVP. He's only won it twice. He was in the top 2 to 3 conversation the last 3-4 years in a row.
No, and I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, that's why they don't give the award to the older guy, right? Technically, LeBron James has been the MVP the last, 4 years, in my opinion. But, they'll never give it to him. Obviously, it was tough last year because of what Westbrook did. But I'm just saying, they don't give it. They like the new guy that comes out of nowhere. Look at even, the Cy Young Award. They're obviously good players, but they normally give it to the up-and-coming guy, even though Kershaw pretty much can win it every single year. They always give it to the guy that just plays a bit better that season, but is just kind of a one-and-done type player. So I just think and at the end of the day, I told you, I could care less about if Carson Wentz wins the MVP.
I think you should care.
No, who cares? It's just a trophy. It's whatever. It's an accolade.
I guess you're not a big fan of Carson Wentz then.
No, I am. But that doesn't mean he needs to win the MVP because why?
Hey, I don't care
know.
if Brady wins MVP.
Because this is the difference between our fandom. You're a Patriots fan because of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Because of the Eagles. Eagles, as in Eagles.
I thought you were an Eagles fan because of Donovan McNabb. That's the story you told me.
No, but that is the story. But I'm just saying, after McNabb leaves now, it's been about the team for the last 10 years, right? Guys have come and gone, and Wentz is as elite quarterback. He could go down as one a very great quarterback, and I love what he's doing. But at the end of the day, I don't care about the individual awards because it's about the team, I'm
what do you guys think? What do you guys think about Antonio Brown entering that conversation? I've seen a couple people talking about it.
I was gonna just say that. I was like, who are you gonna put that are not quarterbacks in MVP? Because I feel like they get 20% more of the credit for MVP than
as they should.
How about this? If Wilson has a good game and the Seahawks win, he'll be number 1 in the MVP race, guaranteed.
I think a lot of people put him there. I think I think that's a reasonable argument. I was going to toss Luke Kuechly in that conversation because I think for Carolina, he's certainly been very dominant. I think you can make an argument, really outside argument for a lot of people, but Bobby Wagner could be considered in there as well. So
he is Pro Football Focus's #1 rated defender.
No, he could be defensive player, but Bobby Wagner is not winning MVP, dude.
No, he's not. No, of course not. Of course not.
He would have had to have 4 touchdowns,
Madden numbers.
Yeah, but
JJ Watt should have won MVP 3 years ago.
Yeah, but I think that there is an argument for Antonio Brown. I mean, if you're going to go outside a quarterback, I think you can make an argument for Antonio Brown.
I guess.
Can I be honest too that I don't think if you think at the end of the season, the numbers aren't going to be as great as we've seen with MVP players.
I think Tom Brady and Carson Wentz are on pace for pretty good numbers.
I'm saying maybe 37, which is great, but
Oh, I think Brady's at nearing 5,000 yards and 38 touchdowns.
No, yeah, because Brady does. Carson Wentz doesn't have nearly as much yards just because of the way.
And the rating, I think, for Brady right now is 111. So that's top 10 all time. That's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know what Matt Ryan's.
Whatever happens, if he wins it, he wins it. Whatever.
I thought Brady should have won it last year over Ryan. That was my personal opinion.
I personally thought Rodgers should have won it. So that's how we all feel differently about last year's conversation. But any other questions here? Of course you're going to say Brady, you're a Patriots fan.
No, but I got a question. What is everyone else's take on the Eagles defense? Because I feel like they don't get as – maybe they're starting to get more recognition, but I don't think the Eagles defense gets enough recognition as it should.
I think people just want to – they like you said, I think they just want the new star. The same example here. Cam Newton and the 2015 Panthers were on the same sort of run, and Cam was amazing, even better than Carson was. But don't get me wrong, that defense was top 2 in the NFL.
Sure.
If the Broncos didn't exist that year, the Panthers would have been like everybody would have been talking about them as such a great defense.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing for me as people.
It's like
people love the
Minnesota
quarterback.
right
they love the flash of the offense.
But it's like, and like when we talk defense, we talk Minnesota because their offense isn't flashy and their defense is
they don't have a Carson Wentz on their team. But I think the Eagles are in that conversation. They're in probably the top 5 at least defenses in the league, probably top 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
they're ranked 6 right now.
Yeah.
Seahawks are ranked 8th.
No, I know that's just check points though. That's just yards.
Yeah.
Points, they're 3rd.
Yeah. The Cleveland Browns are the 9th ranked defense.
Browns defense isn't that bad. Their offense is so bad that like their defense isn't terrible because they're actually good against the run. So like that kind of helps. Their pass defense is bad, but like they aren't the worst defense they're not even close to the worst defense in the league. If the Browns defense was on the Packers, they might have won a couple more games without Aaron Rodgers.
True.
What else? Lions beat themselves and Steelers won by 5. So somebody else.
Yeah, Lions do beat themselves, I find.
Killin' Boy says, let Carson have the trophy. The last MVP to win the Super Bowl is 1999. Trust me, there's no one that knows that stat better than me.
No, and I'm kind of, without saying it, that's what I'm kind of saying too.
Yeah. Zach Ertz is a go-to clutch play. Hey, wait. Has an Eagle ever won the MVP? Other than like Sonny Jurgensen?
Or Ben Brock. Or Chuck Bennett. No, because he would have been defense. But he might have. Let's see. I don't know.
See, that would be like a historic thing, though.
McNabb in 2004 was was very close.
Well, of course, you had Peyton Manning who threw 49 touchdowns, so he wasn't going to win it. But
he was close, though.
Yeah.
Let's see here. How about this? I dug up some stats because we like not the Ertz Gronk, or I know you hate the Ertz Gronk comparison.
It's stupid.
But in their last 17 regular season starts, okay, this is not including games when they're not playing. In their last 17 starts, Ertz has 1 more touchdown than Gronk.
Good for him. Did I tell you the stat about Gronk versus Gonzalez and Gates? Yeah,
like the 2 touchdowns or whatever. Yeah, it's good. Good time.
He's the GOAT. He's the greatest tight end of all time. All right. Kuechly is a beast, says somebody else. I don't know what else we got. Just a bunch of picks. Thanks for being in the chat. I like how you guys interact with each other. That's good. I like that. A lot of people hating on Vance Joseph. People believing in the Eagles.
Norm Van Brockman, 1960, dude. Boom.
Okay, so one of them did. All right. That's pretty much it for the I don't really know. There's not much there.
The Patriots have 2.
Do you think Ray Lewis should have won MVP? Said Marsman.
What year?
Probably 2000.
2000? Yeah,
probably 2000.
Who won that year?
2000? I got it right here. Marshall Faulk.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's a tough argument, though, because Faulk was
amazing. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, Lewis could have won it, probably in 05, 2000, and 96, I think.
No, a defensive player is never winning. It's never won it.
No, yeah, there has. There's been Alan Page, Lawrence Taylor, and...
Lawrence Taylor in 86.
Did Reggie White win it once, or no? I think it was Lawrence Taylor and Alan Page. I know for sure.
Yeah, I don't know anyone else. 2 times, 71 and 86.
Well, Lawrence Taylor only won it once?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. J.J. Watt should have won it.
Boomer Esiason won NFL MVP.
Yes, he did.
1988.
All right. Thanks, guys, for joining us here on the Bottom Line View. If you enjoyed, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. For more NFL, make sure you tune in every single day. We have a video every single day, whether that's a topic video, recap, or review. I know this weekend I won't be there for the live reactions, but we're covering the Panthers-Saints game, and Dylan will be on that. So make sure you watch. Dylan will be on there. I'm not sure if AC or Kev will be on there, but Dylan will be there nonetheless, so you can interact with him.
Hey, we should plug.
And shout out to Sports Fury as well, who had Dylan on their channel. And that was really cool. So hopefully we can do some stuff with them. We do similar content, so it wouldn't be too hard to kind of hook up. And yeah, shout out to them. Go subscribe to Sports Fury as they shouted out us. So thanks for that. Any other stuff to promote? I don't think. Or me and AC, of course, have our show coming up probably Saturday.
Yeah.
And
There's some good
Stardom and
spread.
Sidham will be out this week.
I'm more confident. I looking at the lines just right now. They're looking. Some of them are looking pretty good, even right. Not from Monday. So we'll see. Because it wasn't great last week for me. I was 2-2, and then before that I was 7-0-1. So
I had a great week last week.
Yeah.
I've had a great week like 3 weeks in a row. So I'm like riding high.
Well, I'm
scared though. Like I'm scared that I'm gonna come back down to earth and I'm just gonna lose all my money. So
I was still like, because I bet every single game. The last 4 weeks I've been 10 picks or higher, betting every game against the spread. So
that's good. If you would have bet every one of those, that's
I know
exactly. Betting is like sometimes you do really good with just a couple games, and then sometimes you do really good with all of them, but you never know which week is which.
Well, like I said, normally I used to bet pretty much every game, just like the same amount, and then just try to be above 500, and then you make money. But I don't know. I just haven't been betting, and then the Eagles have been winning, so I just haven't bet just because I think I'm helping the team out by not betting, right? Because if I do bet, maybe they'll lose.
But anyway, anyways, guys, tune in for that one. Kevil, do you have anything to plug? I know you have some stuff going on.
We did a review on Punisher on my podcast yesterday. Check that out. Got some other stuff going on. Check out the BLV NHL. They are doing a fan appreciation. We're doing fan appreciation, so we'll be recapping some games tonight.
You're an NHL fan, go subscribe in the description box. BLV NHL. It will be right there. Go to that, click it, subscribe.
Yeah, Johnny V and I did a trade rumors recap a couple days ago. That's on there. Johnny V ripped the Flames after they got thrashed by the Leafs, which was fine. And we'll probably be doing some recaps throughout the week. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Peace out.
Peace.